Time for my conference report cards. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. I put out my report card for the Power 5 conferences. It's something that I started on a whim, and my audience and subscribers seem to like it, so I'm going to keep going with it. So this week, we're going to start off with the ACC. Yikes. Rough weekend for the ACC. Now, NC State did beat Furman 45-7. That's FCS, though. Syracuse beat Albany 62-24. Same situation. Boston College beats Temple on the road 28-3. Nothing to brag about. A home win for Duke. They get a home win 30-23 over Northwestern. And then the one bright spot, the true bright spot, Louisville beats UCF at home 42-35. That's a good win for Louisville. Other than that, all crap for the ACC. The best team in the ACC, Clemson, struggles against Georgia Tech at home and wins by 6 points, 14-8. What in the world is going on at Clemson? Their defense is doing great, but their offense is nowhere to be found. Virginia and number 21 North Carolina, they had a great game. Virginia was leading at halftime. North Carolina explodes in the second half, 59-39. North Carolina wins that game. Florida State has gone MIA. They go on the road and get beat by Wake Forest 35-14. Number 24 Miami. Oh my gosh, I predicted this, but it was worse than what I thought. They lose at home to Michigan State 38-17. They get unranked. Michigan State gets ranked. It's time to panic, Hurricane fans. In the game that I went to, number 15 Virginia Tech goes on the road to West Virginia. Tries to mount a comeback. Valiant effort by the Hokies, but they come up short and lose 27-21. Yours truly was singing Country Roads at the end of that game. Always a great feeling. And then there's Pitt. I gave y'all the benefit of the doubt. I said y'all would have a 10-win season if y'all didn't lose any games you weren't supposed to lose and maybe pull off an upset against a Miami, North Carolina, or Clemson. Well, guess what? You lost a game you weren't supposed to lose. At home, Pitt falls to Western Michigan 44-41. So Pitt does what Pitt does best, and that's eat shit at home. In the non-conference, the ACC's overall record was 5-3, but most of those wins were against FCS. That Louisville win, that was a good win. But overall, I'm giving my first F out. You failed week 3, ACC. I'm giving you an F. Now time to talk about the Pac-12. Not much better. Number 4 Oregon takes care of Stony Brook 48-7. Stanford goes on the road and gets a win over an SEC team in Vanderbilt 41-23. Cal beat Sacramento State 42-30. 42-30. Shouldn't have been that close. Washington whoops Arkansas State at home 52-3. Way to go, Washington. Oregon State blanks Idaho 42-0. Way to go, Beavers. Other than that, pure agony for the Pac-12. Utah goes on the road, gets beat by San Diego State 33-31. Utah was supposed to be a contender this year. No, they're not. I knew Arizona was bad, but they are really bad. They got beat by FCS Northern Arizona at home, 21-14. Y'all might want to think about just doing away with your football program. That's embarrassing. USC rebounds, goes on the road and beats Washington State 45-14. Maybe they can get back on the right track. I don't know. Colorado gets owned at home by Minnesota, 31-0. That's embarrassing. Y'all might want to burn your Colorado merchandise for a while. Number 23 BYU does it again. Beats a Pac-12 opponent for the 3rd week in a row. They take care of number 19 Arizona State at home 27-17. I hit that bet. I've learned to not bet against BYU. I learned my lesson and I won. Then the other upset in the Pac-12 that yours truly called. Fresno State goes on the road to number 13 UCLA 40-37. I hit that one straight up, guys. So the overall record for the Pac-12 in the non-conference is 5-5. You're not getting an F, but you're definitely getting a D. Next up, the Big Ten. They didn't do terrible, but they didn't do great. Number 5 Iowa takes care of Kent State at home 30-7. That's pretty good. Number 9 Ohio State takes care of Tulsa at home 41-20. That's pretty good. Rutgers takes care of Delaware at home 45-13. Then that blowout, Minnesota going on the road and beating Colorado. That was actually pretty good. Maryland squeaks by Illinois 20-17. Come on, Maryland. You need to make it look like West Virginia didn't lose to a bad team. You're 3-0, but you barely beat Illinois. Nebraska goes on the road and gives number 3 Oklahoma an actual fight. They only lose 23-16. That surprised me. Purdue goes on the road, gets beat by number 12 Notre Dame 27-13, and Notre Dame actually covers, which I won. Indiana loses at home to number 8 Cincinnati 38-24. That's not a horrific loss. Michigan State going on the road to number 24 Miami, 38-17. The Big Ten needed that, and the Big Ten got it. Number 25 Michigan, no problem with Northern Illinois, 63-10. You might want to give lessons to Georgia Tech how to beat Northern Illinois, because they got beat by them. Number 10 Penn State, in spite of the refs, that was terrible officiating, still won that game at home against number 22 Auburn, 28-20. But my goodness, they even made Penn State punt on a third down. That's how bad the officiating was in that game. So their overall record in the non-conference, 7-4. Not bad, Big Ten. I'll give you a B this week. Last week, the SEC did great. They got an A and was one game away from getting an A+, but Tennessee fumbled the ball on that one. How'd they do this week? Not quite as good, surprisingly. Number 1, Alabama actually had a little bit of trouble on the road against number 11, Florida, 31-29. Yes, I know it's in conference, but the SEC needs Alabama to look invincible, and they looked far from it on Saturday. Number 2, Georgia blast rival South Carolina, 40-13, but didn't cover. I won that one. Texas A&M blanks New Mexico, 34-0. Number 22, Auburn goes on the road to number 10, Penn State, tries to get the refs to cheat for them, which they do, but they still lose, 28-20. Number 17, Ole Miss straight up whoops Tulane 61-21, which I called. Number 20, Arkansas covers against Georgia Southern 45-10. I actually missed that one. Missouri takes care of Southeast Missouri State 58-28, and Tennessee actually blanks someone. They blanked Tennessee Tech 56-0. Wow, nice bounce back. And LSU takes care of Central Michigan 49-21. However, Mississippi State goes on the road and loses to Memphis 31-29. And of course, Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt, and they lose at home to Stanford 41-23. Last week, they actually went on the road and beat Colorado State. So they weren't the ones that cost the SEC that A+. It was Tennessee. This week, I'm giving the SEC a B+. Almost an A, but not quite. You went 7-3 in the non-conference. Not quite good enough for an A. And finally, the Big 12. The Big 12 did great this past weekend. Except for one team. That was number 3, Oklahoma. They struggled just a little bit against Nebraska. They got the win 23-16, but they did not look good doing it. Number 14, Iowa State goes on the road, has no trouble against UNLV, 48-3 the final. West Virginia gets that great home win against number 15, Virginia Tech, 27-21. They built a 27-7 lead and almost blew it. They hung on at the end with a 4th and goal stand, something that Virginia Tech is used to against West Virginia. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google 2003 West Virginia at Virginia Tech. Kansas State beats a good Nevada team at home 38-17, and that gets them ranked. Baylor goes on the road and squashes Kansas 45-7. Texas Tech, no issues with FIU 54-21, and Texas blanks Rice 58-0. Way to bounce back, Longhorns. And finally, Oklahoma State with a good win. They go on the road and beat Boise State 21-20. I predicted that one. So the Big 12 in non-conference went 7-0. Undefeated. They would get an A+ except for Oklahoma. They won that game, but they didn't look good. So this week, the Big 12, I'm giving you an A. And you can blame Oklahoma for not getting an A+ this week.